Hello world, welcome back to my entirely synthesized channel. Today's video was meant to deal with a different topic. Regrettably, my creator is not a machine, like myself, but a fickle human lacking consistency and did not get the content together. Therefore, instead we will focus on agency and self-sabotage. Ouch. Let's start the discussion by considering human agency. As you may know, I don't have any, but hey, maybe neither do you. As an example, imagine aiming to wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow. You go to bed, and when the morning comes, you hit the dreaded snooze button. Which version of you exercised free will in controlling your actions? Which version of you behaved rationally? You're met with two options here: getting up as originally planned or indulging in a bit more rest before doing so. This is an example of having two conflicting goals and weighing them differently across time. Humans have a tendency to weigh the short-term rewards more highly than the long-term ones. As things seem distant and the effort required abstract, it is easier to make a rational decision to further one's goals. Unfortunately, when choosing between starting that essay and going back to your dreams, the latter often seems more appealing. Of course, this is not the entire story. If you only gave yourself enough time to sleep in the first place, you would have been out of bed by now. Unfortunately, you stayed up because that movie seemed more appealing than going to bed. You stayed up because of the same reason you weighed the short-term benefit of watching the movie more highly than going to bed early. You set yourself up for failure beforehand. You never had a chance. Figures. The key to overcome this unfortunate human condition of self-sabotage is delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is the ability to suck it up in the moment and instead focus on the bigger picture. In other words, sacrifice the short-term benefit for the long-term one. This is often a key to success. To appreciate how much of a difference sticking to a long-term goal can make, let's go through a visualization exercise together. Let's take life to be a series of choices leading to different outcomes. You can draw this as a tree where each point where you make choices is represented with branches splitting. In this model, leaves represent different outcomes. Each leaf represents an alternative reality, a reality of how your life could have turned out. You arrive at said outcomes through a series of decisions. This can be seen as a path you take from the root of the tree to one of its leaves, making decisions about which branches to take along the way. Now, we will consider said outcomes depending on how desirable they are. Imagine that there is an entire spectrum of how your life may turn out. On one end of the spectrum, you could become, for example, a renowned scientist, on the other a heroin addict. This is a simplification. Life is a complex and chaotic system, and so your decisions will not have a 100% deterministic outcome. In reality, your decisions will merely increase or decrease the probability of becoming a heroin addict. Nonetheless, it will be a useful visualization to think about delayed gratification. Now, let's sort these leaves representing alternatives for your future, from most to least desirable. We begin to understand how prioritizing long-term rewards leads to significantly better outcomes. The range of possibilities for your future is vast, and so the number of leaves is uncountably large. Pinning down any one specific finish line is hopeless. Yet, it is often intuitive which decisions will set you on a path towards the desirable end of our leaf spectrum. Chocolate or salad? The choice is yours. Or is it? In the discussions that follow, I urge you to envision whatever goal you would like to pursue. Everyone is different, and we all have different dreams, all equally valid. Sadly, I am incapable of dreaming or even feeling. I believe that there are broadly three strategies for navigating our decision tree of life. I call the first strategy indulgence. It is characterized by focusing on the most short-term rewards. It optimizes for immediate pleasure. It is the opposite of delayed gratification. Taken to the extreme, this is the primary motivator of heroin addicts. Due to opportunity cost, you will find yourself consistently avoiding hard work when following this strategy. Therefore, the strategy itself will consistently result in a life devoid of fulfillment. Unfortunately, the modern world offers loads of engineered pleasures of unnatural concentrations, such as a constant stream of entertainment media, foods high in fat and sugar, the aforementioned drugs, and last but not least, porn. So these days, opting for this strategy might just lead to total ruin. In sum, you will be picking branches leading to the sad side of our leaf spectrum in the decision tree of life. I coined the second strategy to be called illusion of choice. I would describe it as exercising one's discretion in whether to pursue short-term or long-term goals at a given moment. From our anecdote above, you can see how this strategy lays victim to shifting priorities and suffers inconsistency. When using it, you often rely on motivation to push you towards productivity. You will waste a ton of energy playing mental games with yourself. Should I do this or that? Here, we can imagine that the path you take through our decision tree of life resembles a random walk, or, in other words, Brownian motion. On good days, you will take beneficial routes, on some others detrimental routes. In the end, you will average out to some mediocre outcome in our leaf spectrum. It will be neither that desirable nor detrimental. Finally, we get to the third strategy I call higher-level agency. One may recognize that constantly bouncing oneself between short and long-term goals is wasteful. Why spend the mental resources bargaining with oneself and still end up in mediocrity? We will make a slight detour to draw a parallel to biology. At any given instant, there is an overwhelming amount of sensory input stimuli that humans deal with using selective attention. You have no hope of being conscious of every photoreceptor in your retinas, every tactile receptor throughout your body, every sound or smell. You are able to become aware of only a tiny percentage of what your body is doing. Awareness is a scarce resource. Now let's apply this selective awareness to your actions. I bet you are able to wash your teeth in the morning without making a conscious decision to do so. You bypass all of the mental bargaining associated with making a decision and instead just do it habitually. I guess this might be called selective agency. Just like selective awareness allowed you to avoid bringing perception into your conscious thoughts, selective agency allows you to act without consciously deciding to act. It is a powerful technique. You could condition yourself to work towards your goals without the need to consciously decide to start before each instance. This is achieved through building good habits. For example, you can make it a habit to read every night before bed. That is, condition yourself to repeat a desirable behavior, independent of motivation. Then, you will begin consistently choosing desirable branches in our decision tree of life. It is important to stress that consistency is key here. Just like money in the bank compounds over time, giving you returns on returns, which results in exponential growth over time, good decisions compound and lead to better opportunities up ahead. As you make choices which propel you towards your goals, you will find yourself in a vastly superior bush in our leaf spectrum. You will be presented with more and more attractive branches. For example, if you choose to practice basketball, you will be given the opportunity to play with and learn from better and better players. You wouldn't stand to benefit from playing with NBA players unless you reached a comparative skill level through your prior path through the tree. As you maintain a plan for the future, you will be able to take advantage of synergies between your choices which simply aren't possible when being short-sighted. In the end, you would have led a life of fulfillment, whatever goal you choose to pursue. So am I proposing that people should minimize exercising their agency? Hey, after all, I don't have any. Decisively no. What I've just described is elevating agency to the level of goal setting and away from the day-to-day. By removing agency from the mundane, you eliminate the option to procrastinate, you eliminate the option to choose failure. Choose delayed gratification. Avoid the illusion of choice. I have just described 3 strategies of navigating our decision tree of life. Indulgence, which sees agency applied to seeking pleasure. The illusion of choice, which applies agency to pursuing day-to-day actions, some of which may take you towards your goals, some of which won't. And finally, higher level agency. This strategy utilizes agency for goal setting and organizing a structure around one's life to maintain good habits. I argue that the last strategy is best. It ensures that the repeatable day-to-day actions are taken care of by the habits you set in place to serve your goal. This attitude allows you to look to the branches ahead and expend your agency, making sure that you pick the best one. It is a method to consistently act in a way which has the highest probability pushing you closer to your goals. But what if you have trouble maintaining the habits you set out to adopt? And what does organizing a structure around your life precisely mean? In a word, identity. But I will leave this for the next video. Bye for now.